How about them boys? Dak his ass.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Coconut Curry Podcast. If you're new here, we are three college students at the University of Pittsburgh just chatting about sports and hopefully offering a new perspective on everything. If you're new around here, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you are been here before and you're not subscribed, I don't know why you're not subscribed. Please help fund our medical profession endeavors.
Please. I'm broke. I am $20,000 in debt. Please.
I just want food, man.
Please.
I started looking up apartment costs the other day for potential med schools, and I was like, yo, I'm going to be in like mad debt.
Yeah.
Because you look at the tuition rates and you're just like,
Nice.
like, oh, okay, like I understand I'll have to pay that, maybe get some little like scholarship or whatnot. Then you're like, oh, I have to like pay where I live, and
Just be an RA again.
I mean, people who follow this podcast for a long time, they know that I get paid to live on campus and take care of a bunch of freshmen, so I've had to pay for housing, and now I'm like, oh,
now I gotta pay for housing.
Fun fact, they don't hire RAs when you're in grad school.
Wah. That's too
Also-
damn bad.
Also, I don't think I could do that for another year.
That'd be terrible.
But that's sports aside. You're not here to hear about our personal life and our troubles. You're here to hear about the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, and any other
Exactly.
sports, occasionally flag football and track and field and the Winter Olympics
And the
hockey.
NHL,
Wait,
yeah.
No, just kidding. We don't talk about hockey. So NFL, big week, and we have 3 games that we want to highlight. And first off, Rip, as Raj said in that beautiful, just glorious cold open, is Eagles beating the Cowboys 28-23 in what was definitely one of the games of the year, all the way down to the last wire. Raj, give us your take.
Neither team wanted to win that game towards the end. I don't know what was happening. I was going to have 5 heart attacks. I probably stroked out. I had 5 heart attacks. I probably had 3 strokes. Yeah, I hate how the Eagles can't win comfortably anymore.
What was the final score?
28-23.
23.
Cover that spread, though.
They covered the spread, but
Yeah.
like for so long, I was like, okay, Eagles are dominating this game, and then they just weren't.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what changed. I don't know what they just started doing.
The script.
But-
So
the script made them.
So what I was talking to my dad last night. The Eagles defense is, I don't know if there's stats about it. Thank you, Raj. Thank you. I got a great cowboy hat
It's
on
a
now.
talking hat.
Oh, okay. I like this.
Oh god.
You're never gonna have the hat back then.
Rats.
I was talking to my dad about it. I think the Eagles defense must be the worst defense in the opponent's 50. Like when the other team has the
Yes.
ball and needs to get to midfield, the Eagles defense is like,
The greatest.
no, it's the worst.
Oh, it's the
They're
worst.
horrible.
Oh, it's the other way around. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And then once they get into the red zone, they either like sack them out of field goal range, so they have to deep punt. But that means the offense never has good field position. So
Yeah.
every time the offense comes on the field, it's like, well, we have to go 75 plus yards to go score. And then so every time it's like the offense doesn't score and the other team gets good field position. And it's just like, I feel like that's why the Eagles never like blow teams out, because they're just constantly like in bad positions. Like there was multiple times that game where the Cowboys had great field position starting at the 50, and it was like, all right, now just play like okay defense to avoid anything. And of course, like you pretty much gave them a short field at the end because James Bradbury put an arm up ball in someone's grill for no apparent reason. Bradbury's terrible. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. He's so bad.
And then he proceeds to get hurt. Then Darius Slay gets hurt the next play.
I mean,
what
we'll
this
flash
is.
forward to the end before we get into the whole game, but that was just like one of the most wild sequence of events I've ever seen, because in a matter of seconds, we got a defensive pass interference on Bradbury, which bailed the Cowboys out of that.
It was like a 20 to 35 yard game.
Yeah, I mean, it was the only reason the Cowboys had a shot to win that game.
Yeah.
Then he gets injured. Next play, Slay injured. Next play, Jalen Carter injured.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, they have a legit shot to win the game. Then you get 2 sacks
Yeah.
back to back.
And then
Now-
Slay and Bradbury are back in the game out of
And
nowhere.
yeah, they're back in the game, and then everything just happened. And I mean, the Eagles won. We talked about it last episode about the nice graphic that says, "I'm so excited to watch my team. Oh, I want to kill myself." And then
We're so bad.
we're so back.
no,
like
we won.
It's
Yeah.
exactly what happened again.
Yeah.
Like every single week it happens, and I don't understand why. It's like, again, the team can't win comfortably, but we have the best record in the league. We're 8-1. It's not like we've played like an abysmal schedule with just horrible teams after horrible teams. We've beaten some decent teams to this point. I'm just very glad the bye week is here for my own cardiovascular health.
Yep, same.
Peter, what were your impressions watching that game?
I mean, the Eagles, they find ways to. Thank you. For
Peter has
anybody-
a talking head.
I was
now.
just I have the talking hat on. So the Eagles, this just completely fried my brain and train of thought.
The talking hat tends to do that to
It
people.
really does. Like realistically, the Eagles should always. They were never in a position that I felt like they weren't going to win that game. literally up until the last 45 seconds of that game. And I don't know why the offense seems to stall out right when it matters most, and not necessarily that they need to go score, but that they need to just to hold the ball and get a first down. They have a good run game when they go to it, but then they don't go to it, and then it's what is it, third down, and they throw a deep ball down the field, and it's why are you doing
so this happened twice in the game. So the two last possessions were they had a third down and 3, and they threw a 30-yard fade route.
Yeah,
that didn't result in anything. They have to punt the ball away. Cowboys come down, they score.
Yeah.
Whatever. So then the Eagles have the ball the last time. It's all they need to do is get a first down, and pretty much Dallas has no shot because they will be completely out of time and whatnot. They run the ball 3 straight times. They don't get the first down, and they have to punt. But in that situation, I'm why on that third down would you go for a 30-yard pass, then the next time go for a 2-yard run? Where can we find the middle point where we're maybe trying to throw a 3-yard slant route, get AJ? I mean, AJ Brown scored on a route. You just kind of got him into the flat and then let him do his thing. Could we try to do that on a third down?
Yeah.
Why in one shot are we trying to take a big shot downfield when we just need to get the first down, and then the other time we're just gonna
try to burn the clock,
play it safe and run the ball because
the
Cowboys know what we're gonna do.
That's what was so confusing. It was it doesn't. They just there's no middle ground. It's they're either going deep downfield or they're running, or they're just running the ball.
I put part of the blame on Hurts because there's no way the AJ Brown fade route is just the only read in the play.
Yeah,
there's no way that's the only read he can make in that situation. And at some point too, if you don't like the play calling from your offensive coordinator or coach, you just need to change it at the line or something
audible.
like that,
just
or
say,
just
hey,
roll out the pocket and do your thing or whatnot. But
yeah, that's something that I haven't seen as much recently. Is he's not rolling out they don't roll him out as much anymore.
The problem is his knee injury, which
is it that serious?
Well, I don't think anybody actually knows when it started because no one's really talked about it. He's been playing with the brace on his left knee for 3 weeks.
Did he not have the brace on this last game?
He did, yeah, he did.
Oh, he did. Okay.
I mean, I think that's why he was able to stay in
because it's underneath his socks. That's why. Because I was looking for it. And I'm he doesn't look like he has anything on, but it is.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
So he's been wearing the brace for 3 weeks. He probably heard it the week before that, and it's just been a very non-big topic of conversation. Which I wonder at a certain point, it almost makes the fact that he played in the Jets game even more curious because we lost the game. He was playing on a bad knee.
Yeah.
You could at least played Mariota, who still at worst case still would have lost you the game. You still would have lost. Maybe you win the ball. Maybe you win the game. It's just very curious, especially because you can tell Jalen Hurts isn't 100% on his knee, but also he's just not playing 100% like the quarterback he needs to right now.
Yeah, it was just really confusing. And of course, I mean, this is not to bag on the Eagles so much because they won the game. The Cowboys are notorious chokers at this point. They just cannot win when the lights are very bright for them, I guess.
The lights are too bright.
The lights are turn those lights off.
Shout out to our last 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just very strange because they're 8-1. They're a great football team. They are. They just never blow teams out. They never solidly just win a game.
It's Philadelphia. We're not allowed to.
It's so confusing.
The fans have to have 5 heart attacks per game so,
It's just confusing.
We all signed a contract.
And aside from the city of Philadelphia's mental and physical health, I think the bye week comes at a good time for the team just because I think we've had a lot of issues with our secondary being the linebackers and the safeties and sometimes our cornerbacks. And we got a safety, Kevin Byard, in the trade, but they've been playing back-to-back weeks. You barely have time to get them adjusted in practice.
Had a slow down. Foul.
Slow down. People have been getting injured left and right. Dallas Goedert just broke his forearm, which is horrible.
Yeah, he might make it back for the playoffs.
Yeah,
he might.
Which that's an underrated. He's been coming on strong the last couple of weeks.
Well, that's 4 weeks if there's no additional fracture.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And so they really need this week off to vacation for a week, come back, practice, and come and reset. I mean, they've got the Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, Cowboys, Seahawks for the next 5 games.
That's a gauntlet.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
That is a gauntlet.
Horrifying. Yeah. And so they need to go 3-2, 2-3 at worst. Just to try to maintain their spot. Because, we have a big lead over the Cowboys for the division, but they can still be coming, and we've got...
If you slide after the bye week, they could easily catch right back up.
And you want to keep that spot because you would love an extra bye week in the
before
the playoffs because of how beat up we are, and if Dallas Goedert needs that extra week potentially, or just you need the team. We've got an old offensive line. Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, they were both injured at the end of last year. So really give your team as much time as possible for the break. And also it's going to be the AFC and the NFC. It's just a gauntlet at the bottom right now with teams that have all the same records, and I don't want any part of playing in that round of the playoffs.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, we'll see. Cowboys, I wouldn't be concerned if I hate the Cowboys, but I wouldn't be concerned if I was a Cowboys fan.
It's like whatever.
But this is what they do. They
Yeah.
just don't win. It doesn't feel like they win the big games.
No, they come close and then they just fail.
Because I mean, like you said, they went into Philadelphia and almost won, sure, but the Eagles really tried to hand him that game multiple times.
There was like the fumble, then they had a shot at the end there. I think if Dak was like 1 foot closer, that could have gone to OT.
Yeah.
Like
no, yeah. I mean, they had opportunities and they blown them, and you could see some of the plays where Dak made a mistake and there was a wide open guy in the middle.
Yeah,
of the
there's
field.
a couple clips of those that came out where it was like on the fourth down play that they missed. There was like a guy that had a step on his defender that he could have thrown it to. Also on the play that ended up. The receiver was short, like a 1 yard short. There was a dude wide open in the end zone, and he just looked left and did not look anywhere else. Where he should have got it scanned and then got to him because he needed to actually develop that play more. But whatever,
for sure.
It's the Cowboys. They'll choke. I'm a Giants fan. Who cares?
Bengals beat the Bills 24-18 in what was the Damar Hamlin and the playoff rematch.
Yes. Bengals are back.
Yeah, they served their mandatory 4-game of being trash.
Yes, they served their mandatory 4-game suspension of being bad, and now they are fully back. They are back to being the Bengals that we remember. I mean, nothing very crazy in this game. Bengals kind of took a pretty big lead early. The Bills came back kind of right at the end, but it never really felt like the Bills were gonna come back. It's like they had a shot, but it's like, oh well, it's up to the Bengals to not screw it up. Oh, they don't screw it up. Okay.
I saw a tweet earlier in that game that said the Bills have been an unserious franchise all year, and it's showing now. And I completely agree with that tweet because nothing about between the time Stephon Diggs wasn't showing up to training camp, Josh Allen's been on the injury report for 4 straight weeks, has played every single game. They didn't make any trades at the deadline. They kind of ran back the same roster that had not gotten them anywhere in the last couple of years. They feel like a team that is just hanging around, wanting
They're
to be
just
there.
Sitting there, not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And now they find themselves at 5-4, almost 5-5. The Jets could overtake them tonight.
They're third in the division.
Yeah.
So it's Miami, Jets, Bills, Patriots.
They're in a team that desperately needs that bye week coming up soon to reset themselves because they're in threat of not making the playoffs. I can promise you, Stephon Diggs is not going to be happy if they miss the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to get loud. It's going to get real loud in Buffalo. It's going to get really loud in Buffalo if they just completely slammed their Super Bowl window shut by just doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean that's what it feels like, and that's why I'm saying they're unserious because it felt like even the Bengals, who started off poor, were still made changes in the offseason, still tried to get better, and had a young core going into the year. And they are peaking, and they're getting where they need to be right now.
Because my whole thing is they needed to be way more aggressive at the trade deadline. The Bills.
Yes.
They needed to be way more aggressive because, look, something's not working. All right. You need some sort of different dynamic because if you're not going to be running Josh Allen as much anymore because you're worried about him getting injured, that's totally valid. But picking up Leonard Fournette, even though his hamstrings look like biceps,
huge.
He looks yoked. But he could be great. I don't know. But he was coming off of kind of a not great season. He's been a free agent for a little bit now. No one really picked him up. I don't know why they didn't go and at least try for Derrick Henry. They need a heavy hitting running back because James Cook is a great pass catching running back, but he's not a bell cow. He can't run every single one of the plays. And what you would take on Derrick Henry's contract, which is $5 million. It's figure it out. It's Derrick Henry.
Well, also just never getting washed up players really makes or breaks your championship season, your championship aspirations. Was Leonard Fournette going to move the needle?
No.
On your year?
You think he's going to come in and just suddenly turn the Bills franchise around? No. Rasul Douglas, he's just the Band-Aid fix for Tre'Davious White tearing his Achilles.
Kamir Elam, he's not played either.
Oh, yeah.
Cornerback they drafted, yeah.
Yeah, true.
Which they were hoping to go. So I understand some things haven't gone right for the Bills, but they've just been meddling the last couple of weeks, sneaking by wins. I mean, you think about it, they could easily have a losing record right now. That Tampa game
They were one Chris Godwin turning around away from losing,
and they were one pass interference away from losing to the Giants.
Yeah.
Which is awful.
I mean, they very. I don't like to play revisionist history, but they could very easily be a
3-5,
3-6,
3-6. Yeah,
Yeah.
3-6.
3-6 football team.
The only team that they've beaten with a winning record is Miami, who hasn't beaten a team with a winning record.
Yep.
That's put that on your like flow chart where you're like, okay, the Bills beat Miami, who hasn't beat a team over 500.
Yeah,
which just means they're all trash.
they're all trash. They're all not as good
The
as we thought
Jets
they were.
actually are the best team in the division.
With how Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball today, they still could be. He'll
Yeah.
probably be back for the playoffs.
Yep.
And if this, so help me God, if Aaron Rodgers comes back from a torn Achilles in the playoffs and wins the Jets the Super Bowl, that would be the funniest thing I have ever seen.
On the backs of like Josh Allen and like Miami just not being able to pull it together.
Everybody in that division just the bed, and then the Jets coming out and winning the division, making the playoffs, and winning the Super Bowl. That would be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Because there's really no
crazy,
reason the Jets should even be in this.
No, why? They lost a Hall of Fame quarterback, and they're still second in their division.
You had a reasonable debate in the beginning of the year. I would say more than reasonable debate to say Miami and Bills were favored to win the division over the Jets. Like you could have
Even with Aaron Rodgers.
Even with Aaron Rodgers, you could have
Yes.
easily made the claim
100%.
that the Jets were going to be third best in the division.
Yeah.
And now you have the claim if they win tonight that the Jets are the best team in the division with Zach Wilson, who can't throw a football.
Yeah, who's having some of the craziest character development you've ever seen. And it's just like, what is happening in that division?
Zach Wilson siders. Did you go see what his brother did?
Wait, what?
You didn't see what his brother wore on his shirt?
Oh, no.
His brother like finished a high school game and had like a shirt on that said like "I love the cheerleaders" or whatever.
He was talking about the cheerleaders of the other school.
Yeah, and it was like under his shirt, so like they lifted it up afterwards.
It's
And
like, I love JC cheerleaders or something.
yeah, it might have been NP or something like.
Whatever
But yeah,
it was.
some type of initial cheerleaders.
That's so cringe.
Yeah, it was
Oh
really
my
cringe,
God.
and I was like, of course, this
Runs
is
in the
Zach Wilson.
family.
Yeah,
He
clearly.
hasn't had that arc yet.
Yeah, he needs the humble arc.
Put him on the New York Jets and have him lose the game
Yeah.
where he scores 3 points and it says that his
It
offense
wasn't
isn't to
my
blame.
fault. Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ. All right.
Would you say that you need to apologize to the defense? No.
No. It's like, all right, man.
All right. But, yep, Bills in trouble. Bengals rising. But, I mean, that division, we'll talk about in a little bit, is just
That's a
bonkers.
every year. It's
Bloodbath.
a bloodbath. They just beat the hell out of each other in that division.
AFC Hood.
Yeah.
North.
In
Yeah.
the first ever NFL game in Germany, second ever
Mhm.
NFL game in Germany, the Chiefs beat the Dolphins 21-14.
Mhm.
Just
Ugly game.
Bad.
it just confuses me because I want so badly to be like definitively like, yes, the Chiefs are the best team in that division. I mean, in the conference, because they're Super Bowl champions. They have the best record in the AFC, and they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. But they have looked so they've looked less impressive than the Eagles, in my opinion,
Yeah.
in
I
some of
don't
their
know.
last games.
The Super Bowl hangover for both those teams is really weird
Hmm.
because, like, the Chiefs' defense is so good.
So good.
So good. And the Chiefs' offense cannot figure it out.
No, they scored 14 points against the Dolphins defense, which I will give the Dolphins defense credit. They've gotten Xavier Howard back. They've gotten Jalen Ramsey back. They have Bradley Chubb.
Yeah.
They have Jaden Phillips. Like they've
They've
gotten
got some guys.
They've got some guys, but
but
they're
they're not that
They
good.
came into this game ranked 26, and I know there's been injuries, but they were 26 in the league.
Mhm.
And the Chiefs offense put up a mere 14 points, scored
Yeah.
0 points as a collective unit in
Yeah.
the second half. The only reason they won this game
It's because the defense.
was because
Yeah.
Trent McDuffie had a strip 6
yeah,
on
strip six that
Tyreek.
hoisted it to somebody else on a lateral.
I mean, the NFL teams need to start figuring out how to use laterals more because
It's electric.
it's so fun.
Oh my god, everybody in Germany was going ballistic when that lateral went off. But yeah, like I'm so confused by this team because, like, if you were to tell me at the beginning of the year before this started that the Chiefs were going to have a top 3 defense in the league, I'm like, oh my god, the league's over. Like they're gonna have the perfect season. This is it. Like they're gonna go on the run. And then you look at them, they're 7-2, and then they don't look like the same impressive offensive like.
They don't even
talent-wise.
look. They don't look like a good 7-2 team either.
No, it's so strange where it's like you'll see like Travis Kelce getting double teamed, and it's like, okay, that means everybody else is one-on-one with somebody, and then everybody's still covered. It's like, what is happening? Like
I know. Again, I would need to see advanced statistics. I would be shocked if another team had worse separation than the Chiefs receivers.
they cannot.
They
get
cannot
separation.
get open at all.
Nope.
It's always like I'm just so confused of what was different from last year to this year. They didn't lose anybody.
They lost Juju.
They lost Juju. That's it.
I mean, it's just weird things like Miami put up, of course, an aberration, but Miami put up 70 points on the Broncos. The Chiefs went into Denver and put up like 7 points.
Yeah.
It's just so strange.
Like they're just not. They don't feel like a good team
Actually,
at all.
I don't think they scored a touchdown that game.
No,
Now that I
they
think
didn't.
about
No,
it.
no,
It was all field goals.
It was 6, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, 17-6 or something like that.
Yeah.
Just really goofy stuff. Like Raj, what do you think about like the Chiefs season so far?
I don't want to say anything right now because I know I'm going to start trashing on the Chiefs. I'm going to say there's got to be concern in Kansas City. It'd be enemies gone. Maybe that's why the offense slowing down. But
That could be.
that
Well,
could
you
be
know what? I'll say it for you. There's concern in Kansas
Thank you,
City.
because I know I'm going to say it right now. This is going to be clipped, and then watch. The Chiefs are going to beat us in a few weeks.
There you go.
But I don't know. Maybe they need a bye week to rest up. Maybe they need to figure out what's going on offense. You have way too good of a defense because they're like kind of the opposite of the Eagles right now. The Eagles have a very good offense and a very sus defense that keeps getting exposed.
What's weird about the Eagles defense too is they actually don't let up that many points.
Yeah.
It's just they're
But
on
they
the
just
field for
look
so
sad.
long
I
because
know.
again, every team gets to the 50-yard line so easily. So they waste like 4 minutes getting to the 50. And the Eagles defense like flexes their muscle and you're like, oh, okay, they didn't like hemorrhage a lot of points today, but then like the offense starts blah blah blah. But
Anyway,
it's hard for me to be like, I don't trust Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid
and Travis
Kelce to figure it out on offense. But
because like obviously they can, but like
show me.
Yeah, they haven't. Like obviously this could be like 2-3 weeks from now. They could just be going on a tear, and it's like, all right, they're back.
Yep.
But they need to do that.
Mhm.
Like they need to prove it.
As an Eagles fan, the most unfortunate thing in the world was I was like, thank God we have this bye week, and then we can just go play. We can rest up, play Kansas City.
They
We'll be
also
okay.
have the bye week.
And they also have a bye week. I'm like,
Yeah.
great. So now this really hard game that we really need the bye week for, and the Chiefs don't look good. Andy Reid coming off a bye.
Yeah.
Like, great.
Isn't he like? He's like it's like a 70% win percentage. Off a bye or
Yeah,
something
he's
like
really
that.
good off a bye.
Is it okay?
It's in Arrowhead.
It's
T
in
Swift-
Arrow.
T Swift
Oh,
will probably
you're
be there.
screwed.
Yeah.
Taylor's gonna be there. It's in Arrowhead.
Yup.
Andy Reid off a bye. Oh no.
We'll see how the NFL script phrases it.
Yeah.
We'll
We
see.
need Donna Kelce to just sport the Eagles jersey that week.
That's like your only hope. At this
Yeah.
rate. Like Donna Kelce needs to be wearing a
No split jersey, no nothing.
needs a
just
Do you think
full-
Taylor will wear a split jersey?
No.
This will determine it.
I don't think she's gonna wear a split jersey.
My guess is Taylor doesn't wear a jersey at all,
I'm guessing she just wears red.
or she wears like a neutral outfit.
I'm guessing she's.
What
gonna
does
wear
red and green make? Brown?
Yeah,
She just
that's
wears
a
I've never thought of this.
what colors those make.
red and green.
Yeah, so this is the
Brown.
hard.
It makes brown.
This is the hard hitting content that you wanted on our podcast. What colors do red and green make?
Brown.
Subscribe.
Taylor Swift will wear a brown cardigan.
A brown cardigan.
Yeah.
She shows up like every white mom in autumn.
Although yes, brown cardigan, like a white undershirt, like a pair
Oh
of
my
jeans.
God.
Doesn't she have a song called Cardigan?
She does, yeah.
That was a deep pull, my
Wow.
friend.
That was a good
That's
guess.
a deep pull.
Again, this is the content you're looking for on the Coconut Curry podcast.
Jesus.
But yeah,
you heard it here first, folks. Taylor Swift will be wearing a brown cardigan to the Eagles
Wow,
Chiefs
to
game.
represent both.
Yup. Symbolic.
My guess is just something red.
Yeah, she probably.
Split jersey would go crazy.
Like I said, maybe Donna Kelce will get her one of those.
okay,
split
but
jerseys.
if she had a split jersey, what would be the other player? Like Jason?
Jason.
Okay.
But
But
she gets
is she
DeAndre
like tight with
Swift.
Jason like that though?
I don't know. I have no idea. Do you want me to go ask
Come on,
Taylor?
get the what are you here for?
All right, let me go check some sources.
Hey, New Heights, you want to feature us on an
Oh my-
episode, please?
I would do the things I would do to be on New Heights podcast.
At Travis Kelce, at Jason Kelce, at Kylie Kelce, at T Swift.
At
I don't think Taylor Swift has.
Oh,
really
at
good names.
what's the kid's name? At Wyatt.
Wyatt, yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know the other two.
Benny.
Please let us on New Heights, please. Anyways,
Anyway.
I was gonna say the Dolphins have now become everyone's like most hated team because they can't beat actually a good football team at all.
Yeah, everyone's like, haha, you're frauds.
over
Yep.
406 something days since they beat a team above 500, and that was last season against the Ravens
There we
in
go.
week 2.
There we go.
That's crazy.
Yep. So it wasn't even like a real above 500 like halfway
They
through
were
the
frauds.
season.
At some point,
Yeah.
At some point, everyone's favorite coach, Mike McDaniel, you have to ask the question
What
if
do you
this
do?
is on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
Love them, but dude.
Yeah, love them, but like your team needs to win against good football teams.
Lay off the shrooms, man.
Because fun fact, the playoffs
you got to win against winning teams.
You have to win 4 times against winning football teams.
Mathematically, you're going to be going up against a team at some point that has a winning record.
Yeah.
If not all of them.
Not all of them.
So if you do the math, which I know we're not great at on the podcast.
No.
The Dolphins have a 0% chance
Yeah.
to win the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
So this is what we've determined today.
Exactly.
But yeah, those were the games that were big, the hard hitting games, the games that mattered a ton for the standings. Now we'll go to the games that mattered for the standings, and we cared about it a little bit, but like not that big of a deal. And that's starting with the Steelers beating the Titans. And the big reason this game mattered was because the Steelers are somehow 5-3, but they are 5-3.
Yeah, somehow fighting for their life in that division. That's just an absolute bloodbath as per usual. But again, the Steelers, just their offense looks.
I don't understand anymore. Is it Canada? Is it Kenny? Is it the O-line? Is it the receivers? I don't know anymore.
I don't know.
I've come to the conclusion that it's everything.
Yeah.
They need to
change something.
Redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
George Pickens is throwing a hissy fit every game.
Oh, but he posted today that everybody needed to get off his case because that's not what it was about.
His account got hacked, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I did not see that. I did not see the clip where Deontay Johnson scored his first touchdown in 400 days, and he walked off the other field instead of celebrate. Oh, we got a Chipotle bag on Raj's head.
Why are you? Okay.
The voices told me to.
Oh, okay.
His ADHD is kicking in. Moving on.
You can ignore him. If you're on the audio version, just don't.
So sorry.
Don't go over to YouTube.
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, I would just read the whole offense. Like George Pickens is having a hissy fit. Kenny Pickett isn't good at football.
Oh my God, Raj, what are you doing?
Just sit there and hold your sign.
And
don't move.
Okay.
God,
get this talking hat off of him.
I need to get you like a fidget spinner. Or something.
I have 2 of them. I have a
green
one and I have a blue one.
Anyway.
And then Matt Canada's also just not good. I love how the reporting before the game was, guys, Matt Canada's going to be on the sidelines.
It's going to be huge, guys.
He's not going to be in the booth this game.
It worked.
It worked. It did.
Barely, but
yeah, scoring 20 points on the Titans worked, then sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious that like the Steelers offense they just need to fix something. Because like I think personally it comes top down. It comes from play calling first. Because if you have guys that are like wide open every single time and Kenny's just like missing throws, or you have like wide open holes that running backs aren't hitting, then it's like, okay, that's a personnel issue. But like half the time it's like Kenny running for his life and like trying to make something happen. It's like he overthrows somebody. It's like, oh, that's a terrible throw. It's like, yeah, it's a bad throw, but it'd be nice if he didn't have 0.03 seconds to try to throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem is, let's go through it as a group. Is the Steelers quarterback average, above average, or below average?
I'd say right around average or slightly below.
Okay, Raj?
Sorry, I was responding to my Coil project. Steelers QB above average.
Below average.
Yeah. Where does he stand?
Average.
Right around average.
Running back. Below average.
Below average.
Below
Both of them are
average,
below
yeah.
average.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wide receivers.
Deontay Johnson, he's shown some sparks now. He's still average.
They both are like just above average.
Was it Pickens, Deontay Johnson, and
whoever? It doesn't matter. But like I'd say, I would say slightly above average.
Slightly above average. Offensive line.
Below average.
Below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad.
So when you put, and we're not counting the tight ends. Like it's
whatever.
Not worth it. But when you go through that and you go, the quarterback might be average. The running backs are below average. The receivers are maybe a tick above average.
Yeah.
And the offensive line is way below average. You have a below average offense.
Like that's just how
and
it
your
works.
offensive coordinator is also not good.
Yeah.
So it's a whole systemic issue for the Steelers. But this is also what the Steelers have been since Le'Veon Bell and AB and Ben Roethlisberger weren't together.
Once the big three like broke apart, that was it.
They've never been able to figure it out. And they're consistently not This is why I care when bad teams win football games. Because this exact situation happens where you're a football team and you cannot get good on one side of the ball because the Steelers have not drafted high enough in the draft to get any. In drafts recently, whether they were 8-8,
they did move up this past year though to get a lineman, which is good, which they haven't done in the past.
Yes.
So they're changing that
improvement.
mindset now.
Jacob was very excited.
Yes,
but in years past, where there was Jamar Chase at the top of the draft and Justin Jefferson at the top, those were teams where the Steelers were meddling at 9-8, 8-9. Well, they were never 8-9, 9-8, 8-8, and whatnot, and they could have gotten those higher picks had they just kind of like taken their foot off the brake a little bit, and they're going to do it again this year, where they're going to be right in the mix, and they're going to miss out on a prospect at the top of the draft that would really help out their offense, and they're going to have to hope for a little bit more of a risky player in the back half of the draft. I mean, they tried to get Chase Claypool, but he was bust.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And stuff like that. So that's why you need to draft higher in the draft.
They traded Juju away, and then who else do they have? That's Deontay Johnson, who can never catch.
Again, I like a lot of teams to lose because it helps them in long term. But this feels like a year where the Steelers are going to get to 8-9, 9-8, but it's not going to matter because the rest of the AFC is really good. They're going to miss the playoffs, and then they're going to have a 16th pick where they could have just kind of sucked this year, gotten some more draft capital, and rebuilt their team a little bit. Like, go get a guy like Marvin Harrison to go pair with Kenny Pickett and be like, all right, Kenny, like, we're giving you the guys. Like, you can't make a proper evaluation. I don't think Kenny Pickett's that good, but I can't make a proper evaluation on Kenny Pickett with that offense.
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to figure out if he's the quarterback or not. This is the exact same thing that's happening with Justin Fields, too.
Yeah.
Not only is he hurt this year, but you can't make a proper evaluation of him because the offense isn't good.
Yeah.
And now you have to make a decision about if this guy's your franchise quarterback, but you haven't given him the help.
Yeah.
And it's an avoidable situation if you're the Steelers. Just like, I don't know, maybe trade a defensive player away that you love, but you're going to get a first-round pick for it and say, we love you, buddy, but we need to think about this long-term. It's exactly what the Chiefs did and why they're still so good, because they traded the best receiver in the league away for a first-round pick. They drafted Trent McDuffie with that pick, and then Trent McDuffie was busy locking up Tyreek Hill in Germany this past weekend.
Yeah. And even the Chiefs themselves, like, they had Alex Smith as their quarterback, and they went up and traded to number 5 overall and drafted him. Or wait, no, it was number 5. No, I think that was where
Patrick was 6.
I think Patrick was 6. Yeah. But yeah, it's like they went and got a quarterback when they already had a quarterback to set up for the future.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, you're like, when you can see those when the franchise do it. It's what the Eagles did. I gave the Eagles a ton of flack for drafting Jalen Hurts.
I think we all did.
And because Carson Wentz still didn't show that many signs of regression, he's gotten some bad injury luck, and then turns out it was the right decision because he got to the Super Bowl last year.
Yep.
And they did this. They drafted Devontae Smith when they could have drafted other positions of need. They traded a first-round pick for A.J. Brown, like constantly going out and getting talent.
Yep.
Not the Steelers.
Nope.
And I'm not saying I know the Raiders were being a little stingy with it, but could you have not tried to get a shot to go out and get Devontae Adams or anybody else on the market?
Yeah.
With some talent, like even if it cost you a first and a third, or something like that, like just go out, sell out for the player and be like, we'll give you the resources
you need
or whatever. So
maybe Diggs goes there because he's disgruntled. He probably won't. But
he won't go to Pittsburgh. There's no way. There's no way.
Great. It's weird in football because you just don't have like the NBA is all about like, oh, this player's not going to go up to Detroit to play.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in football a lot, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess like Miami's getting a little bit of buzz recently because like it's Miami.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a lot longer on the Steelers than I want to talk about. I'm just glad Will Levis is also just playing for the Titans. Just like let him play.
He looks a lot better than Ryan Tannehill.
Just more dynamic.
He had some bad throws, but like he's been, what is this, his second game?
Second game, yeah.
Second game. He looks like significantly better though. Like
also his whole thing before coming in was that he wasn't NFL ready. So
no.
You have a non-NFL ready quarterback in a second
not
game.
NFL ready.
Yeah.
Wow, who'd have guessed?
Yeah.
And he still made some great throws though. Like he still looked pretty good. But yeah.
Cost me my fantasy week. I thought I could trust him to get one touchdown. Nope.
Yeah, nope.
Did not happen.
Speaking of somebody that did get one touchdown, somebody that got more than one touchdown.
Joshua Dobbs.
Joshua Dobbs.
On the podcast last week again, we're going to take credit for it again.
Yeah.
We successfully predicted that Josh Dobbs would get traded to the Vikings before the trade deadline happened.
Yep.
He did go to the Vikings, and we also said that he's been playing pretty good this year.
And he's earned his spot.
And he's earned his spot.
An emergency quarterback.
Jared Hall, quarterback from BYU, playing in the Vikings in his first
played
start.
for like one series.
His start lasted as long as Aaron Rodgers lasted.
Yep.
And then Josh Dobbs had to come in, saves the day, beats the Falcons 31-28.
He
didn't know his teammate's name, didn't know the cadence from the center.
Yep.
Didn't know the plays.
Yep.
It just
awesome.
This is one of the stories that will go at the end of the NFL year. Will be like, remember that time that Josh Dobbs came into the game and just took over. For a team. And that's just like, I feel like that goes such a long way for a locker room. And now the Vikings are 5-4.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like,
and you're going to be adding Justin Jefferson back to that offense is going to be horrifying.
But their defense is suspect.
Still suspect, which is they need to figure out. But like legitimately, the Vikings offense is terrifying because they're going to be adding the best receiver in the league overall back into that offense, and they're consistently putting up 28 points per game, like minimum.
Yeah,
like,
and also you gave Jordan Addison like wide receiver 1 reps during this time off, so like,
and he looks great.
Yeah, he looks great, and his confidence is just growing.
It's just boosting. And then and
you can make an argument right now that Josh Dobbs is as good as Kirk Cousins is because he's been playing like this all year.
He's more dynamic.
Yeah,
the way that he was able to actually affect that game was incredible because, like, obviously as like a Falcons defender, it's hard to game plan and scheme for somebody that you don't really know. But again, it's significantly harder to come into a game and lead an offense where you literally don't know anybody on the field, like not a soul. And you're like, okay, I guess I'm just going to throw the ball here and hope for the best. But he was able to scramble. He was able to get first downs. He lowered his shoulder to get a fourth down at one point. It was like, oh, this dude's a dog.
He's good.
He is good.
And it's not like there wasn't tape on him either. Like, he had tape in Arizona. And if you're the Falcons, you had to at least have looked at the tape. Being like, there's a chance that at the halftime
he could come in
because Jared Hall is playing so bad.
Exactly. So it's like we got to be able to make sure we're ready for this. Like, this is what we should be looking for. This is the dynamic. But yeah, I mean, the aerospace engineer, he did it.
And I will come back to this game when we talk about some other games later because I want to make a point. But again, just a huge win for the Vikings. Actually, this game is huge for the standings just because the Vikings at the 5-4, Falcons lose the game. That was very winnable in the beginning, and games that mattered a lot actually, but was a blowout, so we didn't talk about it. Was the Ravens just obliterated the Seahawks?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to talk about at this point. It's just Ravens look really good again. Like, their defense looks great. Lamar is like back and is able to move that offense. Seahawks, their defense is really young, and they just got exposed. I mean, that's really about it.
The Ravens really do look good. I would say they're probably the best team in the AFC right now. I would probably, my pair rankings would be Eagles 1, Ravens 2,
Chiefs 3.
Chiefs 3.
Yeah.
And I would have to make some decisions from there. I'd probably put the Bengals at 4.
I would put the Vikings at 5 at this point.
Maybe, you can make the argument they've been playing well. Maybe Detroit.
Jets at 9.
Yeah. Jets at 9.
On that note, I will have to excuse myself to record a project.
All right, sounds good.
Bye, Raj.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Alrighty, so Raj did have to step out for a project, but we are now joined by special guest Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, holding his tequila, and he's going to be here for the rest of the episode. So say hi, Dwayne.
Thank you.
Great work. Peter and I will be taking the rest of the podcast from here. We will very much miss Raj's insight, as I'm sure many of you listeners will. Just talking about the Ravens, finishing up that conversation.
They're good.
That's
really about it.
The thing I get concerned about the Seahawks, though, is they've kind of like had these games where they just kind of like get blown out and they don't like look. So even though their record's pretty good, I'm very concerned that they just don't play teams close. Like, this wasn't a game that you need to lose 37-3.
This was like they easily could have kept this game closer, but they just kept making some like bad mistakes when they shouldn't have. Their offensive line definitely is not helping Geno out at all. No. I think teams kind of figured out how to beat the Seahawks, unlike last year where they were kind of like very sneakily good. But I think they're an incredibly young team, though. They have a very, very bright future ahead of them.
The problem is the timeline of your quarterback and the timeline of the rest of your team don't really line up. So they're going to have to.
Well, that's the thing, is that they might have to pull like a Chiefs where they have a quarterback and they need to go trade up in a draft where they don't need a quarterback and go and get one and just have them sit and be ready.
That's actually a good shout, because they got Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, he'll be there for a little bit of time.
JSN. Well, they have Tariq Woolen, their second-year corner. Then they now have
Charles Cross.
They have Witherspoon, who's a rookie corner. So, like, their defense is incredibly young, incredibly good.
Don't they have Derek Brown?
I think so.
From Auburn,
Brown, So, like, they incredibly young team, but good. I keep saying that, but like, I need to keep hammering that home. That like in like the next 2 to 3 years, this team is going to be terrifying if they can figure some like those gaps out. Like, they need to beef up their offensive line. They need to actually get a run game going. And they might have to take a risk on a quarterback early in the draft. Somewhere.
Yeah, I actually like that shot a lot. Like, go up in this year and just say, hey, we'll get a quarterback, sit him for a year.
Let's go get Michael Penix. Go get him.
Agreed. Texans beat Bucks in a barn burner, 39-30.
CJ Stroud is him. He is the offensive rookie of the year, period. End of story. I will hear no other comments on that.
Listen, that QB processing test really
Well, so you want to hear a funny thing about that?
Yeah.
So apparently, I was actually watching, it was the Pat McAfee show, and he had a reporter on that knew kind of some of the inside stuff with that test.
Yeah.
And he said, well, so there was one person that we couldn't get the test done at the time that we wanted to. And he had to actually do the entire combine and interviews afterwards and then take the test.
Oh.
So it kind of seems like he just bombed the test because he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Because he was just really tired and was like, I don't care about this. Like, teams are going to draft me second overall anyway, so who cares?
That would be crazy. I mean, that would be a good, like, explanation for it because he scored so low.
And because watching him throw for 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, he was 30 for 42 with a 137 passer rating. And he had 45 seconds or something like that on the clock to then just march down the field with 2 rookie receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And
he just like fits. He just embodies what you want in a quarterback. He seems super poised and mature, but also like when something happens, he shrugs his shoulders.
He's a little fired up. He's a little fiery. He gets his teammates going, but like he is very calm about it. Where it's like he'll like get fired up, he'll like get excited, but then it's just like and then like that's it. It's like, okay, he shows emotion. He gets the locker room going, but he's not going to panic.
He clearly has the trust of his players. That's not a concern with him. And I think the Texans, if you're the Texans, you could not be more excited about what you have there with 2 good rookie receivers. Him, like Derek Stingley, you got
Will Anderson, who's been a monster off the edge.
And like all of a sudden you're really building something there, and you got D'Amico Ryans, who might win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, because he turned that team around completely there. Like the Texans are a very similar team to the Seahawks, where like in the next 2, 3, maybe 4 years or something, they're going to be a legit contender.
Oh, for sure.
Like if they continue like their amazing drafts that they've had, they won't have a first round pick this upcoming year. But I mean, they don't really necessarily need a true first-round pick because they already hit on Tank Dell and Nico Collins. So they kind of just need to beef up some like other areas, like, you know, obviously beef up the offensive line where you can. Try and help out your defense, maybe at like a linebacker, maybe another edge, something like that, another safety, something. But those are easily second and third round picks that you can just beef up your team with because somebody good is going to fall.
Yeah, you want to get those players on the edges that can make it. You're not going to get a star because you don't have your first, but you need
have
to
Will
get
Anderson though.
What
you have the Will Anderson star, so then you just need somebody else to then take up that other spot.
Yeah, so go out and get a good offensive tackle. Go out and get a good defensive tackle. Like good players,
a good guard, a good center. Just beef up what you have, because if you're able to get depth, because especially that's something that's always really underrated, is like having depth at key positions like offensive and defensive line. Because like what the Eagles have, they are so deep in the trenches that they can just move teams. And I know they haven't been doing as well this year, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they are like the champions of we will win in the trenches, and that wins us games, period.
Yeah, and it'll keep winning them. I promise you the Eagles are going to continually be good and never bad in the next 5-6 years because they have Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Hassan Reddick for the rest of his contract and Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean, and they have Jordan Mailata and all the and Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens and all these players
because they're investing in the trenches.
Yep, and
that's where you win.
And that's where the teams need to play. For the Bucs, it's just another blown opportunity for them.
It's a bad beat
because you have Falcons who go down in a bad fashion earlier. We're not really going to talk about it much because it's a terrible game, but the Panthers go down again, of course.
Who cares?
And then the Saints don't really look great against the Bears, which we'll get into, but they could have won this game and really started to climb back into winning the division, and they didn't. And now the Bucs are kind of just, again, a meddling team where maybe they can make a late run for the playoffs, but kind of feels like the spark the Bucs had when they were 4-0 in the beginning of the year. 4-0 or 3-0?
I think it was 3-0.
3-0, yeah. That spark is kind of over.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't really on anybody, but it was just CJ Stroud was just in the zone, I think. Like that's just, you ran into a buzzsaw that game.
Sure did.
Because, I mean, it was a 2-point game. Like, you were going shot for shot with them, and Baker Mayfield drove down there and only gave them 45 seconds, and that's all they needed. So
yeah, and I just wish Mike Evans was traded, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see him like not on the Chiefs, because I'd be concerned that the Eagles would lose the Super Bowl again, but like on a team where they could have used him and it could have been more interesting.
You know who could have used him? The Ravens. That would have been horrifying.
Yeah, I would have a lot more concerns about the Ravens if they had Mike Evans.
Yeah, because they could have replaced Odell's corpse that finally caught a touchdown pass.
Another game that matters is right now as we were recording. We're recording right Monday night. The Chargers and the Jets are playing. The Chargers are currently up 7-0 on the Jets. The Jets are driving down the field, 1st and 10, Jets 38. The reason this game matters so much, and I would say this game will determine the rest of the season for both teams, is the Chargers are 3-4 in a super crowded AFC, because right now you have all 4 AFC North teams getting in because 3 of them are 5-3. So if the Chargers lose this game, they're 3-5. It feels like they're way too far back to make up room, especially with other teams coming in, and the Chargers are going to have to play another game against the Chiefs, so they're probably going to lose and everything like that. The Jets, on the other hand, I don't feel like they can lose this game because even though I don't believe in the Bills, even though I think the Miami are frauds, they're behind both of those teams right now. Well, I guess they're ahead of the Bills right now, but that's probably not the case. If they lose, they're going to be behind the Bills. So they need to win just to be in that conversation, because, again, they're not in the playoffs right now. So if the Jets win this game, they're in the playoffs, or they're right there because they're 5-3. So that's going to be costly. But I don't think if they lose this game, I think they're toast. The Chargers need this game just to stay in the picture. So this game is a week nine football game that I think matters so much.
Oh yeah, 100%. Also, by the way, Chargers scored on a punt return.
Oh, okay, I was looking at the stats. I was looking at the stats, and I was like, this game just started.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert's 0-2. Austin Eckler has 2 yards. There's nobody caught a ball. I was like, how the hell they score?
Yeah, so punt return for the touchdown. But
which is a brutal way if you're a Jets fan to start the game. Like, horrible.
That's absolutely backbreaking, yeah. Because the Chargers got the ball first punted, you get the ball back, you punt, and they just score. It's like, Jesus. But yeah, oh my God, the Jets just fumbled.
Oh boy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, guys, the Chargers are going to be 4-4.
Well, look at that. Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with everything, because, like, the Jets, I mean, well, at this point, they're kind of screwed. But, I mean,
especially if the Chargers come down and score quickly.
Like, you just went on such a long, great monologue, and it's just like, well, it's out the window.
Imagine, like, if the Chargers score quickly, imagine being down, like, 14 at 5 minutes into the game.
5 minutes into the game.
Knowing your offense has a 0% chance they're going to even probably score.
You're down 14-0, and they have had one possession inside the red zone.
Yeah.
They've had one, I guess this will be their second possession, and one of them they punted, and you're still down 14. Like, Jesus.
It's brutal. But yeah, that's why the game matters so much. Again, we'll check in on that. But yeah, not looking great so far.
Not looking great for the Jets. But who knows? Maybe Zach Wilson's God, so we can figure that out.
Yep. Games that blow. Saints versus Bears.
Bad game.
Ugly. Saints now lead the division, I think.
Who cares?
But this is where the Vikings conversation comes in. I do not understand why teams are so insistent on playing bad quarterbacks in the backups when there's other guys on the free agent market that could at least play competent quarterback. And let me explain. I understand that Colin Kaepernick, Carson Wentz, some of these other guys could be considered distractions in the locker room. But when you're trotting out there, Bagnet,
Tyson Bagent, I think.
Bagent,
former D2 quarterback that lost to, like, the Colorado Miners or something.
Colorado School of Mines, yeah.
Colorado School of Mines, yeah.
That, those guys, and this is going to get me into the Cardinals game. Tune, which I know Tune is a third string quarterback, was, and I understand
whatever,
all that.
Yeah.
But you are continually bringing these guys out to play quarterback, knowing your team doesn't care. And I'm all for tanking. But the Bears clearly don't want Bears are not trying to tank.
For some reason wanted to win.
They
your season's over. I hate to say
it. Yeah, like if you want to win the game, go get somebody to help you win the game, and that's not the quarterback you came out with. I just don't understand why these teams are sticking with these guys, and that will go into the second game, Packers versus Rams. If you're the Rams, why are you playing that guy at quarterback? He can't play. They scored 3 points.
That was unreal.
Like Stephen A. Smith for a moment, he's a bona fide scrub. The kid can't play.
He can't play. No.
That like it's horrible. You scored 3 points.
Yeah, against the Packers defense.
Yes.
The Packers are not good.
Like I don't care. Like clearly the playbook doesn't matter that much. Josh Dobbs just went in and like gunslinger mode, came in not knowing his teammates. Like you don't think Matt Stafford had a spinal cord injury last year, and their backup quarterback was that guy?
Yeah.
I don't even know his name.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what his name is. Yeah, and like that's my thing. Is like with the Packers versus the Rams, the Packers defense is notoriously bad at choking. They do it all the time. But you made the Packers defense look like the 90 or the 85 Bears. Like they're not that good. Like they have Jair Alexander, they had Rashad Gary, they have some solid players in that roster. Don't get me wrong. But when you have Cooper Kupp as your wide R1 and Puka Nacua as the wide R2, and you put up 3 points, what are we doing?
Brett Ripon. And again, no shade to that guy. I'm not
we're not trying to.
I'm not trying to rip into the guy, but
it's more of a decision on the organizational part.
Because there's just you go into the game knowing you are likely going to lose. When you're a Rams team that cannot afford to lose, you have really good players on the team. Matt Stafford, Aaron Donald might retire after the year.
Yeah,
Cooper Kupp. These are guys you can't afford to just throw away their season. But you essentially did because you decided it wasn't like their second string quarterback got injured. This is their second string guy.
Yeah.
So this is the backup option to Matt Stafford, who left last year with a spinal cord injury, and you had to play Baker Mayfield. Like it's unforgivable from a team management standpoint. You had the trade deadline. You could have gone out and gotten somebody. There's other people right now sitting on the market.
Yeah.
They can help you. And we keep singing Carson Wentz's praises, not because he's good, but because I know he can play at an NFL starting quarter. Like he's better than some of the guys who are playing right now in the league.
Yeah.
I know that. He's better than Bryce Young.
So it's like if you're trying to win, he's going to give you a better shot at winning. And I understand the idea of, okay, well, we don't know what this guy can do. Exactly, which is what the Vikings did. They put a guy out there. They had no idea if he could play or not. Turns out couldn't play. Then they played the guy that they knew could play at an NFL level.
And for Jared Hall, like that was a situation where very much like they didn't expect Kirk to tear his ACL.
No.
I mean, Achilles. Once he did, they said, oh boy, we got to make a trade. Last minute, by the way. He tore his Achilles on Sunday.
Yeah.
They traded for him. The trade deadline was on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So 3 days later, they made the trade to get him. I'm sure they would have made a move on the side if they couldn't have done that. Maybe Jameis Winston was in play. Who knows? But they went out and got the guy they needed to make their season work.
Yep.
I give you a ton of respect for doing that. And you started Jared Hall because Josh Dobbs didn't know everybody's name.
He didn't know anybody. Yeah.
So you were like, okay, we'll just go with this guy. And he got injured, unfortunately. And Josh Dobbs got to play heroics. We know he'll be starting next week. He was going to start next week regardless.
Anyway, but like that's the whole thing. Is like that whole situation makes more sense. Because it's like, okay, you don't know what you got in this Hall guy. Maybe he's this great rookie that you need to trot out there. But you got to at least see. But then it's like, okay, this doesn't work. Let's put out a guy that we know can play.
Yeah. But you cannot defend or explain to me why they're trotting out these guys to play quarterback
that just aren't good.
Again, when you're a team that needs to win. I get if you're the Raiders, I mean, who won this week, but
or the Giants.
Yeah, or you're playing these bums at quarterback because like you want to lose the game.
Yeah, like who cares?
That makes sense.
Like,
I don't care.
You're tanking at this point.
Yeah, but like, and again, the Cardinals, like would I prefer to see a better quarterback there? Sure, but Kyler Murray is going to play next week, and you're the Cardinals. You want to lose.
Yeah,
so that's fine. But I just don't understand how routinely these teams are doing that. And then, again, it's the Bears and the Rams, where I know the Bears want to win because their quarterback was in MVP conversations to start the year.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that.
So they clearly have an interest in winning football games.
Mm-hmm.
Their coach has an interest because he's going to get fired.
Yeah,
so,
Eberflus is going to be gone.
Like we know Dayball, we know Josh Gannon, and we know this new Raiders guy, whoever it is. They're not getting fired.
No.
So like there's not concerned about whether or not they play well if they're leaving anywhere. But when you're Matt Eberflus and you are trotting out there this quarterback to play against the Saints, like you almost beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you had a better quarterback in there, things would have been different. Now, I think the Bears quarterback has been playing actually pretty well, all things considered. But again, he's still not better than some free agents that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. There's another game that blew was the Commanders versus Patriots. I mean, that game was exactly what I expected it to be.
Like, this is one of those, like, I don't think I saw a single red zone highlight from that game. Like, maybe the Rashad Moore Stevenson, like, long run.
Yeah, I think I saw.
And then, like, I think it was the Jihad Dotson.
Yep, I saw
like
Jahan.
30-yard catch.
Yep, I saw the Jahan Dotson catch. I saw
And
the Ramondre Stevenson.
And then I think Brian Robinson got in the end zone too.
Yep, he did on a little outside zone run. But
I couldn't tell you what happened in those games.
Nope. And I don't really care to either.
Because whatever. Like
another game that blew.
Mac Jones doesn't look good. Wow, who would have guessed?
Yep.
Sam Howell didn't look great.
He threw a pass to Emmanuel Forbes.
That one was bad.
Jalen Reagor.
That one was bad.
Jalen Reagor had to play full. It wasn't like sometimes we joke that they had to play defense, but usually they're playing defense just to be more safe.
Emmanuel Forbes ran his route.
Yeah. Jalen Reagor was reaching over his back trying to bat the ball down. It was crazy.
It was borderline offensive pass interference because he was playing defensive pass interference.
It's horrible.
Oh, Jesus, they're both so bad.
Yep. Browns beat the Cardinals 27-0. Again,
the tank is on.
The tank is on for the Cardinals. They were playing their quarterback. Josh Dobbs gone. Kyler Murray will be back next week with the new Call of Duty coming out, so that's not great.
Well, the good thing is the multiplayer hasn't come out yet, so they still have one more week of Kyler actually being good.
Another game that blew, as all these games do. Colts versus Panthers. I'm sure nobody tuned in.
Let me pull up a stat.
Yep. Colts beat the Panthers 27-13. Again, Bryce Young. I think I'm officially out on Bryce Young. And I know it's early, but I just have not seen anything redeeming about him. Because 1 week he threw some on-time passes, and some people were going crazy. But this guy was the first pick in the draft. He was good at Alabama. He won a Heisman Trophy. He should be able to throw an accurate pass. They can't get anything going.
So, just another stat. I believe Bryce Young has thrown 3 touchdown passes to Adam Thielen, his number 1 receiver. And the second most touchdowns he's thrown to a receiver this year is tied for Kenny Moore II, who is the defensive back for the Colts, who had 2 pick sixes.
Yeah, it's just, and I mean, the factor in how that bad game is, that's a tie game if he doesn't throw those pick sixes.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think Bryce Young looks that good.
No.
The Panthers don't look good, which again, I'm cool with the Panthers tanking.
If the tank's on, the tank's on.
The tank's on.
But the issue is that you don't have your first round pick.
I know, and that's a big problem.
Which, I mean, I guess later on in the rounds, you'll still have your upper tier pick. But, Jesus, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. And then, Peter.
It's not even going to be a long rant about the Raiders-Giants. I mean,
the last game, the game that might have blown
the most.
The Raiders.
Yeah.
Who fired their head coach.
And
the guy who he can feel players. He can touch them. He's hugging the owner before the game. They beat the Giants, the New York Football Giants, with Daniel Jones, who got injured really quickly, and we're sorry about that. 30-6.
Yes. So just some weird things that were also in that. The head coach for the Raiders now is actually a former Giants linebacker that beat Tom Brady
nice.
in the Super Bowl
2008.
In 2008. Yeah. So just very weird detail there. I mean, I've been saying this for the past 3 to 4 weeks. Please stop airing Giants games on TV. There are children watching. We don't need to watch this. Daniel Jones just tears his ACL on a non-contact thing. I mean, the season was dead before, but I can't even elaborate on how dead it is when we have Tommy DeVito at quarterback right now, the most New Jersey Italian-American man I've ever heard of in my life.
You're lucky that the Giants are so bad that they won't become part of my rant.
Yeah.
Because I don't care that they're starting out Danny DeVito because
they are just so bad.
The tank's on.
The tank is fully on. Yeah, the tank's fully on at this point. I mean, the Giants are just so frustrating to watch because I'll look at some of their players and they'll be good. It's Andrew Thomas, one of the premier left tackles in the league, was a second team All-Pro last year, only behind Trent Williams.
Yep.
Insane left tackle. Amazing.
Kayvon
Thibodeau really been coming into his own this past year. He had 3 sacks against the Jets. Deontay Banks, very solid rookie corner. He held Devontae Adams to 4 catches for 30 yards. Jalen Hyatt should have had 2 touchdown passes that were missed throws by Daniel Jones.
Waller's hurt, but he
is good. Saquon had 90 yards. He was averaging 5 yards a carry. Yeah, it's just it's so frustrating. And Bobby Okereke, one of the best linebackers in the league this year. But Dexter Lawrence, one of the best defensive tackle in the league, period. End of story.
Better than Chris Jones?
Yes, objectively he is.
Okay.
You can look at the stats, Mark. Okay. You wouldn't know because nobody would know that
because no one wants to air Giants.
No one is watching the Giants games because it doesn't matter. They had 0 sacks against the Raiders. It was a pathetic performance. It was just like I don't even care at this point. Like whatever, the tank's on. What I will say is, Giants fans, for the love of God, stop saying we're going to go get Caleb Williams. He's not fixing anything. All right. Suck it up, deal with Daniel Jones for next year. We're going to be ass again. Let's go get another tackle because Evan Neal is a traffic cone and doesn't know how to block. Get him, get a guard, get another edge rusher because Azeez Ojulari is made out of glass. I mean, because the Giants, I think, are a top 10, one of the youngest teams in the league. Yeah. They have a lot of young talent on the team. There are players and somebody that literally nobody knows about, Wan'Dale Robinson. He is actually a very, very good slot receiver.
Where do you play college?
Kentucky.
Okay, I was like, the name's familiar.
It is. He's a very solid slot receiver. I think he's going to end up replacing our former Sterling Shepard, who is I think he's just done with his career because of injuries. But it's so frustrating watching this Giants team where you have talent at positions, but then the positions you don't have talent at are legitimately the worst players on the field.
Yep.
Like in football.
Well, I was actually talking about this is, I'm not trying to compare the 8-1 Eagles to the 2-7 Giants, but I was saying me and my dad were talking that Eagles are good everywhere you look, except their safeties are horrible and our linebackers are dreadful. Mm-hmm. So they're horrible in the center of the field. Otherwise their defense is pieced together really well.
And that's where teams attack.
That's where teams attack, and that's why the Eagles continually look bad in games because
that's what
they're
Cowboys
turning the ball over and they look horrible in the middle of the field. And that's the same thing you're saying, where the reason we're so bad is because the positions we're not good at, we are so bad at,
so unbelievably bad at it.
Teams can just run through them if you have a guy like Myles Garrett who will line up
anywhere on the field
and just finger push Evan Neal over.
Yeah, just walk around him because Evan Neal decides to block Darren Waller instead. Yeah, I mean it's crazy to me because we even have the center we got this year, John Michael Schmitz from Minnesota, solid center, a solid center that he's been playing well so far. But both of our guards and our right tackle are so unbelievably bad that it doesn't matter how good other players can be. It doesn't matter how good Saquon Barkley is. He's a top 3 running back in the league. You'd never know that because of when you have 3 400-pound guys right in front of you that are about to tackle you. The second you get the handoff, no duh, you're not going to look good. And it's just whatever. The season's been dead, but it's aggressively dead now. Please tank. Do not draft a quarterback. For the love of God, do not draft a quarterback.
It's just so bad when you lose to the Raiders after they fire their head coach.
You never bet against a team that just lost their head coach. You never bet against that team.
That is true.
They have a 70% win percentage.
All right, quick break while Raj gets back in the frame. Back in. Raj is back. No more Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I would say it's an upgrade, but it's not.
Huh? Yeah, so update, Giants are bad. Who cares?
The question I have to pose to everybody here is, I think this is a really thought-provoking question, is if you had to choose right now, who is your NFL MVP? Because I do not know. There is not a clear... It used to be Tua a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then for Josh Allen, it was the beginning of the season. And I have my pick, who I would choose right now, but it's not I feel this player is overwhelming. Right? Because there's guys that we could talk about through the year. Tua, Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, all these people. But suddenly you kind of keep walking through and you go, who is truly been the best player in football? So I have my answer ready. I want y'all to think about it for a minute.
Okay.
And then come back with the response, because there's been a lot of teams that, even the 49ers, you could have said a couple guys on their team for a little bit, and then they just went ahead and lost 3 straight football games and everything like that. So
all right, just go with this. Go with
all
this.
Right. I think it's AJ Brown right now.
It's not.
Because I think I'm looking at the teams. The Eagles have the best record in the league. So I think I would have to take it from a team that's either 7-2 or 8-1, as the Eagles are. And those teams are few and far between. And then I'd also count the Lions into that because they're 6-2. And then the best player on the Eagles has been AJ Brown. It's not Jalen Hurts this year. So I would have to say AJ Brown. Not that I feel like that's like my not that I feel good that he's my MVP, but I don't have a better choice right now.
I could see the understanding of like he might be like the most valuable. He might be the MVP right now.
He's the best player on the best team right now.
Yes, that is true, but that does not mean he is the MVP because Cooper Kupp had the triple crown and didn't even come close at MVP voting.
Oh, I'm not saying that like
he should necessarily win, but it's just like nobody else is really even good enough at this.
Like
point.
at least like when Cooper Kupp won, like should have won the should have won the award when he had the triple crown. Like there were other quarterbacks who were balling out that like there's just not a player right now that I see
you could point at and say like that
I could point and say that, and then I default to going the best player on the best team, and that would be Jalen Hurts, except he's not been playing that well this year, so it's AJ Brown for me.
I also have kind of a hot take for this. Like I think it might be TJ Watt.
That's not a bad shout.
That's not a bad shout at all.
Considering actually, he has basically won the game. The Steelers only have the record basically because of him right now. He killed Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
he's been playing outstanding. He sacked. He got the sack on that play right when they ripped his helmet off. Yeah.
Yep.
They got the sack on him. They ripped his helmet off, and he still made the sack. Celebrated like he's been playing lights out. Like I know he was hurt last season. And like whatever, he came back with a vengeance this season. He's been playing outstanding.
Yeah, and you can make the argument that they're 5-3. And
the reason why they're 5-3 is because of him.
That's what I was gonna say. The reason their record's so good, and I actually really think that's an intro. I wouldn't take that over my AJ Brown if I had to choose like today because of the record wise. But
like genuinely, he might be.
But I mean, TJ Watt is the best defensive player in the league right now.
Period.
And
he's scoring.
Yeah.
And like that's like one of the only reasons why they win those games by one score is because TJ Watt picks somebody off and returns it for a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool pick.
Damn, I don't know. Cause like
say it. I know you want to say him. I know you want to say it.
I don't want to say CJ Stroud.
You better not. I don't want to like
actually I have a second pick. Justin Fields.
Shut up. Justin Fields is a corpse.
Corpse.
I don't know.
It's hard.
I was gonna say Kirk Cousins, then he tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna say Kirk Cousins.
You can't even like even if you wanted to say like okay like
who's
the one
betting
game
favorites right now?
What? I'll look it up right now.
I think it's Mahomes. Still.
Is it still Mahomes?
And I would say Mahomes is a fair person to continue to be the odds-on favorite because again, no one else has made themselves, and we know it's going to go to a quarterback.
It always does.
And Patrick Mahomes has been better than Jalen Hurts has been.
Yeah.
And otherwise, but I mean, it makes sense for the betting favorite. That's what I'm saying. Like right now, it feels like you're not picking quarterbacks because the quarterbacks have been so underwhelming.
Yeah.
For the teams, and I can't give it to Patrick Mahomes right now just because
I can't give that award to any QB right now.
I can't that's why I'm like looking at all these teams right now, and I just
update the Jets are down 14-0. So
that
whole segment we just did, forget about it.
Yeah, they're screwed. Because I can't. Because the
right. This is why I was like when I thought about the MVP, I was like.
I mean, I could still like even though the 49ers are going on a skid, I can still give it to Christian McCaffrey because the only reason why they're as good as they are is because of him. Like because even when they don't win, he's still putting up numbers. And like the reason why they have the record that they are is because teams like need to be able to account for him, and then that opens up the offense for everybody else. So I'll give it to Christian McCaffrey. Obviously at this point, like I have no idea who this would even go to, but that's kind of I'm gonna punt on that one and just go Christian McCaffrey because I don't want to give it to any quarterback because nobody deserves it. I was gonna give it to Kirk if he didn't tear his Achilles, because he was balling. But
okay, I'm pulling it up on USA Today because FanDuel was not working in my favor.
Classic.
This was updated on. Stop! I don't want this ad. Today at 12:41, so Monday at 12:41 p.m. before the night game. Patrick Mahomes plus 275 to go there again, probably just because
he's
the best quarterback in the league,
and
his team's 7-2. Number 2, Jalen Hurts, which I think again is another good spot for him because He's got the best record if he kind of keeps his turnovers down the rest of the year.
Yeah.
He gets there. And 3, Lamar, I would say. So Lamar's statistics have just been super underwhelming this year. 4, Tua, I think Tua's out of there. I don't think you can count him.
No. I think Lamar Jackson could make a run this year.
Maybe. He could. Joe Burrow's a very interesting, like, Bengals keep it
Jesus
rolling.
Christ. If Joe Shiesty comes all the way back, that'll be so fun.
Joe Shiesty.
We love Joe in this household.
So yeah, it was a little interesting.
He's very hot.
This podcast has run long, so we are going to breeze through the rest of the stuff we wanted to talk about. The first thing being, hey guys, the Rangers won the World Series.
Cool. Moving on. NBA.
All I want to say is the Rangers, that was very well deserved. You played great in the entire postseason. You were the clear team to win. It was just like you should have been the odds-on favorites. The reason you weren't is because you were playing the Astros and because the Phillies were there. But the whole time, like, there was never a doubt until you lost 2 of those 3 straight games. And Raj, calm down. Take your blood pressure.
Good job
meds.
winning your first World Series.
I just hit my ulnar nerve on that chair, and now my fingers are tingling.
Craig Kimbrell, I still hate you.
All right. But yeah, good job, Rangers. You deserved it. Glad you won.
Until next baseball season. And then talking about the NBA, what's really fun, and so I was thinking about earlier today, along with the MVP, was what is really fun about the regular season is that players and teams will do stuff that goes completely unnoticed. Like, you would not even think about it until the season NBA to the NFL season's over and media and All-Star games
actually
start
coming
picking
back
it up.
to the NBA.
Usually like right around Christmas time. So would you know that the Mavericks are 5-1?
Oh,
Luka is averaging 32 points.
Jesus Christ! What?
Who would have thought? Who would have known that the Mavericks, who didn't make the playoffs last year, Kyrie and Luka, 5-1 right now? Wouldn't know. Devin Booker and Bradley Beal have been injured the whole season. Devin Booker's played 2 basketball games. Bradley Beal hasn't stepped on the court. Would you know?
Nope. I have no idea what's going on in the NBA. Besides, the Sixers are 5-1, 4-1,
4-1, and the Orlando Magic
are they undefeated?
Are 4-2.
Huh?
What is
How?
happening? How?
Didn't this happen last season with like a really bad team being like?
Well, this is like,
oh, that was the Jazz, right?
Or was it?
Yes, the Jazz started off so electric, but yeah, this is just part of the early NBA where things are happening and no one gives them attention. The Sixers are up 20 points against the Wizards right now, so they will be 5-1.
Shocker.
And then the Mavericks and the Magic are in a dogfight, 83-85.
How?
Right now?
What
I
is
mean,
happening?
it's a classic 5-1 versus 4-2 team right there.
I mean, like at this point, like that's the thing about the NBA. It's like similar to the MLB. It doesn't matter.
Yep, so early. It's so early on, and even with basketball expanding into that play-in game to that 10th seed, you can afford to be a bad team in the beginning of the year and not great, because worst case scenario, you are getting the 10 seed and you can go win those games. So
like like the NBA, it's like it's fun to like talk about and everything, but like right now,
yes, and that's why I love being like, look at these
look
things
how
that are
crazy
happening.
this is, and it's like in like 2 months from now, it's like, oh, who cares?
So maybe the Magic will be good. Maybe they'll do something about that. But we talk about it later in the year when we're like, oh, they're actually a good team. More likely than not, they will fall down to earth.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the good thing is for the Sixers fans, and honestly for the league, James Harden is gone. James Harden recently got traded to the Clippers.
Send him off.
And a deal for the Clippers received James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip Petrusev. And the Sixers get Rocco, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, Marcus Morris, KJ Martin, a 2028 unprotected first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, a first-round pick from the Thunder, and a first-round pick swap for the Clippers. I believe that is in the year 2030.
Mhm.
That's how long we are out on draft
Jesus
picks right
Christ.
now.
Building for the future again.
Okay.
My first reaction to the trade, actually, Raj, I'll kick it over to you in a second, but I
Dude,
think the Sixers did really well.
I almost cried. Unk is not on the team no more.
PJ Tucker.
Yeah,
PJ Tucker,
I can't
yeah.
believe it. Actually, no. He cost me a parlay. He couldn't get one basket.
Oh,
Anyways,
Jesus.
that's just my gambling. I
Whatever. Yeah.
Life hates me. Whatever. Moving on. At first I saw Harden's gone and go, okay, let's see what we pulled off with this. I see what we got. I saw what we gave up. We have a lot of picks for the future. We gained Robert Covington's back. I mean, he's okay. It's like a good role player.
Yeah, but if you weren't there for the 10-72 Sixers season, you don't understand what Rocco means.
Rocco means a lot. He's stuck with us.
He's in my heart.
But it was a good trade. Harden is a locker room cancer now. He kept saying like Murray. I don't know how to say her GM's last name.
Daryl Morey.
Yeah, Morey. Harden was saying stuff. I mean, Embiid and all them were fine with him. I just don't understand what he was going through. But anyways, locker room cancer. He's gone. The Sixers are built around Kelly Oubre.
Kelly Oubre.
I've seen enough. Build around Kelly Oubre. Tyrese Maxey does look like he's making the jump right now.
Yeah.
He's playing lights out.
And this is why I think the Sixers really do well in the trade is Joel Embiid, Maxey, Harris have been playing really well, and Kelly Oubre have been playing really well to start the year. At best, with James Harden on the team, who would have been happy and playing his best, you were the third best team in the East. Currently, right now, you still could be the third best team in the East. Like, you didn't lose a bunch of potential with this. I think the team is still as good without him on it with the additions, and I think you got a lot of role players. Nick Batum, Robert Covington, Marcus Morris, and KJ Martin are all legitimate bench players in the NBA or role players in a starting position. And I think that's something that's good for the Sixers, and they still have a lot of room they can win. But the reason I am so pumped is because what will go unnoticed from teams in the short term is a 2028 first-round pick. Right now, Paul George is 33 years old. Kawhi is 32. James Harden is 34. Also, at the end of this year, James Harden's an unrestricted free agent. Kawhi Leonard has a player option, and Paul George has a player option. They will probably both accept those player options. They will be free agents in 2 years.
And Harden's going to go to Guangdong.
That Clippers team, if they re-sign everybody, is going to be extremely old in 2028 and probably not great. And there's also a percentage of a chance that neither of them, all three of them, are not on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that 28 pick could be like, that could be a situation where you see like remember the Warriors had a bad year and they have to go draft all these good kids. And I mean, they didn't turn out to be great, but it was like the rich got richer type of situation with players. This is a situation where the Sixers could get like a stud years down the line because they made some small trade with the Clippers, getting rid of
small trade.
I don't like when we draft studs though, because we ruined a lot of studs in that draft.
Yeah, but we didn't draft studs. I mean, they're just bad.
Yeah.
If you're a stud, you actually come out. And
I get
like Tyrese Maxey.
My bad. Let me rephrase. We drafted players that had a lot of potential.
Like, let's be honest. Like Ben Simmons and the word stud don't go next to
what
each other in a sentence.
Don't talk about Markelle Fultz. Like, no, he was.
I like Markelle Fultz. He's doing good in Orlando.
Yeah.
Shout out Orlando, 4-2.
They fixed his jumper. We broke it somehow. Yeah. I don't know.
But I'm very happy. Peter, do you have any thoughts on the James Harden trade?
Cool.
Who
cares?
One note on James Harden, just voice crack. I keep voice cracking. One note on James Harden is that I think he just needs to grow up. Like, I don't want to pretend to know all the behind the scenes stuff that's going on, but
he's just getting tired of the strippers in Philadelphia, so he's going to LA now.
Like, you can't explain to me the Houston, the Brooklyn no, I'm missing a team. No, Houston, Brooklyn, Sixers, Clippers. Like, why it's that type of like movement. I can't explain it to you the way he's like wants to get out of the situations and everything like that. Like, sure, he was God in 2 playoff games last year and got us to those games. He was also terrible in the other 5 games. Like, put some blame on yourself. Like, stop blaming Daryl Morey. You don't want to talk to him. You blew your trust with him. Like, I'm over it. I really hope. Like, I could not hope more for an organization that failed in the Clippers.
Jesus Christ!
Like, with all like the Kawhi like resting, and they're just an unserious basketball team.
Yeah, they are.
And I can't.
It's a retirement home now.
I mean, it is, and that's why I want to see them fail.
What is Russ, Kawhi, PG, Harden?
Yeah,
it's a retirement home.
Yeah, I would love to see them fail because I just think like I think what they're doing is very similar to what the Saints are doing, where like they're just hoarding like good older players that have big contracts, and like at some point they're going to deal with it, and it's going to happen in 2 years, maybe this year, where like Paul George could just opt out of his contract and sign with another team. Like Paul George, because the Sixers have max cap space, Paul George could theoretically just leave the Clippers, come to the Sixers next year, leave them high and dry, and then it would just be Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Sixers can just outright do it because they'll have Tobias off the books. Like it could.
Jesus Christ!
Like I said, we would get rid of him for a crumble cookie.
That's the type of bad situation the Clippers are in with cap wise, because they could straight up lose Paul George and give him to the team that just got him. So whatever. Victor Wembanyama,
he's insane.
Does unnatural things. Like, it makes no sense. Like,
he's an alien.
Yeah. He did get blocked today.
Wait, who?
I saw
who got his hand up high enough?
Okay, as you're looking that up, we'll continue to talk about how he's legit. Like, he was supposed to be the next coming of God, and apparently he is. So, I mean, the league is going to be cooked for the next ever.
Yeah, he's just a freak. Like, he just does things on the basketball court that you shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah,
I give him a ton of credit for just coming to the league with all the expectations.
Jerome Jackson? whoever this is.
Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, he blocked Wemby. Look at this.
Well, Jaren Jackson's a very good basketball player.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah.
Wemby was going up for a dunk
Oh,
too.
so it was like when he was coming down.
Yeah.
No. That's not him. That's some other player. Last name Jackson, but not Jaren Jackson. He plays for the Pacers. He doesn't. No, Jaren Jackson.
Who cares? Anyway,
But
He
yeah,
got
who
blocked.
cares? He got blocked.
but he had 3 blocks of his own. So
And then the last thing I wanted to note
Yeah.
was CJ McCollum comes down with a collapsed lung.
yeah,
Super weird thing to see in a basketball. Like you usually see
Yeah,
that on a
very,
contact,
very
like
rare.
a NFL type of situation, or if Tyrod Taylor gets his lung punctured by a Chargers.
Oh my
doctor.
God, Rudy Gobert got postered.
Anyway,
Oh, gross. But yeah, CJ McCollum. My thoughts go out to him. Hopefully,
Yes.
he gets fast recovery.
yeah, speedy
And for the
recovery.
Pelicans, who have a 4-2 start, hopefully this doesn't slow them down too much, because the Western Conference, as it was last year and it will be continue to be, is just a bloodbath every single year. And there's a lot of teams right now who have winning records. I mean, you think about it right now. The Suns are 10th in the conference, and by the way, the Grizzlies are still 1-6. Well, still terrible 1-6. So they're not coming back anytime soon. But hopefully for the Pelicans, they can keep riding some momentum, especially with CJ out. But we hope he gets back on the court soon. I know the next 48 hours are critical for seeing how it'll go from there. And then other than that, my Ben Simmons for most improved player bet is off to a terrible start. He can't even average 7 points a game.
Like, dude, I told you, this is what happens. He gets the preseason hype. He's back in the lab cooking. He posts the videos of him shooting jumpers, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, is Ben Simmons back?" As soon as the season starts,
But
the
it's
same
not-
thing every year.
But it's not like I didn't know this was going to happen.
No.
It's just I didn't want it to happen.
How much did you put on it?
5.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, $5.
Good
like,
donation to
whatever.
Vegas. Oh well.
Yeah,
No. There's still time.
there's still time.
Do you have a cash out option?
No.
You might as well cash it
I
out.
don't have a cash out option.
Well,
Let it
that's
ride.
because Vegas sees no value in it.
Well, of course, because I bet Ben Simmons would win most improved player.
And I bet Tyrese Maxey to win MVP.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, you might be able to get a small cash out on that.
I have $1 down on it. Maybe I'll make 50 cents.
Oh, no.
I'll cut my
Dude.
losses.
50%. No, 0% chance you get 50% of your cash out.
I'm not.
Yeah, no.
Never.
Anyway,
Don't listen to our gambling advice.
yeah,
we don't know
yeah.
what we're doing.
We canceled the betting quarter for a reason.
Yeah.
it ain't hitting.
It's house money. Don't work now.
It's house money. Don't worry. That's it, everyone. That's it for the Coconut Curry podcast. If you got this far, please like, comment, subscribe. We will see you next episode with more awesome content.
Please stop airing Giants games. For the love of God, my mental health needs it.